issues, people getting arrested, and people getting beat up, or even in some cases shot, but it really does have the a very similar effect of very much silencing people. These are just a handful of some of the many, many examples around the world. So way back in 2001, the U.S. spy plane on the southern coast of China, behind its spy plane incident actually led to, of course, a packet flood led by the Hong Kong Union out of China. Really the kind of stuff that you expect, basically large-scale packet flooding on the U.S. government websites. Some of them were affected, most of them are not, but again, sort of this increasingly hostile sort of tension. And that was almost 10 years ago now. Of course, Estonia in 2007, Georgia in 2008, and then Estonia over the past few years as well. The new editor basically had to walk away from the site saying, I can't keep it running. And the last guy before me was actually shot and killed. I'm done with this. So this is sort of these regional or cross-border issues that sort of rise to the top there. These are sort of interesting, right? These sort of sit-in protests. They're not overtly political, right? They're sort of about policies. They're sort of silly in some respects when you think about Anonymous. So Anonymous basically went after the Church of Scientology, which is sort of a questionable organization. Last week they tried to go against the Vatican, basically launching these packet flooding attacks. So they're using IRC to organize their members for their own, whatever their own tools that they want to use to launch these attacks. What's funny about them is that these aren't very well distributed, and you get like 3 or 4 guys launching attacks on their personal computers, and their IP addresses, of course, stick out like spikes, and you know exactly where they are. They're not terribly anonymous, even though they think they are. Some of these guys are actually serving jail time now. One of them is serving some jail time for the attacks in the Church of Scientology. Went ahead and this is in the U.S., went ahead and actually pressed charges against him. But last September, the same guys basically tried to launch attacks against the Australian government's website, against the Prime Minister's sites, and against the ACMA site. ACMA is a regulatory body in Australia. They were basically passing some internet filtering legislation in Australia, and these guys were trying to show their sort of disapproval of this. They weren't even Australian, I think, in many cases. And so these are just a couple of the sites that were hit, ACMA and the PM's office. The effects were pretty minimal, but it was sort of amusing to watch because this is what they're trying to do. I think it more or less equates to sort of a sit-in protest. And then, of course, there was last year's attacks, simultaneous attacks against governments in Seoul, South Korea, and Washington in the U.S., where both commercial sites and government sites in both nations were struck for a period of about 6 or 7 days. Between the launch of a series of missiles and testing out of Pyongyang, as well as the 15th anniversary of the death of Kim Il-sung, basically the bomb struck and sort of crippled some of these sites. What's amusing is it was mostly U.S. government sites that got hit the hardest, or affected the worst, I should say. Commercial sites were all pretty well prepared. Many of the government sites in Korea were just fine. Many of the government sites in the U.S. were okay, but a handful of them actually were really poorly managed. We know an awful lot about the technical details, how they got the software in there, how they created a bot that was very largely centric in South Korea. 96% of the bots came out of South Korea. There were accusations, and there still are accusations of North Korean involvement or coordination of this, although I have no evidence of that. And again, I'm going to basically skip the attribution bills. So response is sort of really interesting. This is an area that I'm spending some of my time lately looking at some of these things. As you expect, right, there's been, of course, a whole bunch of these things around the world. Recognize I'm talking to a very international audience, and as you might expect, there are some, of course, tensions between our governments in some cases, and that oftentimes leads to these sorts of attacks. And so governments increasingly are getting very, very worried about this, especially since the May 2007 attacks in Estonia. Lots of governments around the world have really been looking at this. So I've outlined 4 groups here, although there's certainly more, that are really looking at this. So there's NATO, right? NATO was directly involved, of course, in calls for helping to stop the attacks and filter the attacks in Estonia by trying to invoke Article 5. Article 5 of NATO basically says if one member nation is under attack, all NATO member nations have to respond started by the, in response, well, its launch was basically sped up in response to the Estonian attacks. So the UN and the